Okay, so our next task is evaluating an equation or a function notation. This is written in the format f of x equals negative 4x squared plus 2x minus 1. And we want to determine six questions here. Okay, all right, so let's look, before we start answering, let's look uh, on this type of problem, A to D, and then this two other problem. What's the difference? Okay, because you need to be able to tell the difference in order for you to know what to do. Okay, so the first one, you have f of x, f of a number, right? But the second one, your f of x, you still have that x, but you have a number on the other side. So you need to be able to determine the difference of those two. Okay, all right, so let's do this. Now, looking at your equation, you see this f of x is read as a function of x. So that means this is an x. This x is in reference to this independent variable that you have on the left side. That means that x is the same as this every single x in there. Okay, so if you look at question number letter A, see that that's the same thing, f of x, f of 2. That means your x has become 2. The 2 will replace this x, this particular x here, and that only means every time you see an x in this equation, you will replace it with 2. In fact, we will replace it with parentheses. Okay, all right, so I'm going to copy negative 4. Instead of writing x, I'm going to replace it with parentheses squared plus 2. I see an x again, parentheses minus 1. So I pretty much copied it, but I replaced all the x's with parentheses, and inside the parentheses, I'm going to write this number here, the 2. Okay, and then after this, I'm gonna have to evaluate this, meaning simplify this using calculator or manually just solving for it. All right, so 2 squared is 4 times negative 4, that's negative 16, plus this one plus 4, that's negative 12, minus 1, that's negative 13. Okay, so this is your answer. Okay, negative 13. What this means is that there is such a point called, this is your x, this is your y. So for this one, this is going to be 2 comma negative 13. Okay, so that is what that means. Okay, in other words, if you do a shortcut for that, it will look like f of 2 equals negative 13. This is your x, that is your y. Okay, now let's do the second example. um, Okay, so again, it's the same as letter B. The x is replaced. So I'm going to copy the whole equation. Negative 4 parentheses squared plus 2 parentheses minus 1. And then I'm going to, inside the parentheses, I'm going to write this number right here, negative 1, negative 1. And then now I'm going to solve for it. Okay, so negative 1 squared is 1 times 4 is negative 4. I forgot the 2. Okay, I forgot the 2 in our equation. There should be a 2 here. Okay. All right. So negative 1 squared is 1 times 4 is negative 4. Negative 2, that's negative 6. So this is going to be a negative 7. So that means this letter B represents negative 1 comma negative 7. When your x is negative 1, your y is going to be equal to negative 7. All right, so I'd like you to try letter C. I'm going to do letter D now. So in this case, I replace the x with m. So that only means every time you see an x, you will replace it with m. So that would just be negative 4 m squared plus 2m minus 1. And that is it. Okay. Now, on number letter E, you're not really replacing the x. You're saying, well, all of these is equal to negative 1, meaning you're given the y. So all you got to do is copy this equation. Okay, I'm going to put it here so that I have some space to write. Negative 4x squared plus 2x minus 1 equals negative 1. So all of this is your f of x. Okay, and this is f of x too, so therefore these two must be equal. All right, now this is a square, so therefore you need to set it to 0. So I'm going to add 1 on both sides because this is a quadratic function. The highest exponent is 2. Therefore, the right side should become 0. So this is gone now. This is also gone. So now you will have negative 4x squared plus 2x equals 0. Well, how do we need to factor this so that we can solve, right? Well, the greatest common factor, the number that can divide negative 4 and 2, that's going to be a 2 or negative 2. I'm just going to choose 2, okay? I'm going to factor out the 2 and the x squared and x. The greatest common factor is x. So now I can factor this one out. Negative 4x squared divided by 2, that's going to be a negative 2x. And then negative 2, and then 2x divided by 2x is going to be a plus 1 equals 0. So now you have two factors, the 2x and the one in parentheses. So therefore, I can set each one to 0. I can say 2x equals 0, and I can also say 2x plus 1 equals 0. Now solve for them separately. I'm going to divide by 2. Therefore, your x equals 0. That's one answer. Remember, you have a square here. That means you're expecting two answers. All right, on the second one, I'm going to subtract 1. I'm going to subtract 1. Negative 2x equals negative 1. I'm going to divide by negative 2. So therefore, my second x equals positive 1 half. Okay, so I have two answers. Okay. All right, so that's how you answer letter 3 and letter E. So why don't you try letter G and tell me what's your answer? Okay, so again, is this gonna be, is this is basically similar to the letter E, and try to see if you can find the answer. So I'd like to challenge you to write your answers for letter C and letter G in the comment below. See you then.